Surprisingly, over 90% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button. It motivates us to keep creating and helps us never miss an upload, and you'll never miss a story again. I never thought I'd become the kind of husband who would question something as sacred as a pregnancy. We married for better or worse, right? But when Sarah wrapped her arms around me, eyes shining and breath ragged, as she whispered, "I'm pregnant," I believed it. My heart filled with joy for a new chapter. That belief lasted until the math didn't add up. Our life was comfortable. A mid-sized home in the suburbs, predictable schedules, weekends for yard work or movie nights. Nothing flashy, but honest. Sarah worked in consulting, her business trips frequent but always brief. She'd flown away for a week to Boston, returning Saturday afternoon. That night, she slipped the news to me. My grin turned into tears. I swept her up. We danced in the living room, imagining baby names, nurseries, small feet in tiny socks. Until I looked at the calendar, my mind racing. Her business trip had been the prior week. Impossible timeline. She said it was conceived before she left, but her timing didn't match. I asked how she knew the exact dates. She faltered. Was that fair? No. But it planted a seed. I couldn't shake the doubt. I asked her to think back. She blamed hormones, smiling nervously. I tried to let it go, but the discomfort lingered. That's when I stepped back. Not to punish her, but to breathe. Over the next few days, I stayed silent. She seemed happy about the news, but when I asked for a prenatal appointment, she deferred, said she wanted to wait a bit. Trust me, I still wanted to believe. But I also needed reassurance. Then I noticed something else, tiny things. Her phone buzzing. She'd scrunch her nose. Just work, she'd say. Laughter late at night, not at shows I watched, but at something private. And I'd get texts that she'd step away to read. I didn't snoop. I didn't confront. But I made quiet observations, shared calendars, receipts, bank notifications, nothing definitive. Just pieces. One evening I Googled, not with accusations, but out of desperation for clarity. I learned enough about pregnancy timelines to calculate our window. The numbers didn't match, not even close. The next morning, Sarah came to the kitchen with coffee and eggs. Her smile was soft, expectant. I met her eyes and said gently, quietly, "We need to talk." And in that moment, silence stretched between us, dense as velvet. She didn't defend. She just nodded, eyes down. I found my strength in calm. "I love you," I began quietly. "But I'm confused. The dates, they don't align. If we're expecting, let's confirm this together." She looked up, voice gentle but strained. I needed something to hold on to. You're always busy. I felt alone. I sat. Let her words land without judgment. Then came the difficult part. I asked for time-stamped records, her last period, date of trip, doctor availability. She agreed, voice nearly a whisper, but then she canceled. Again. "Let's wait," she said. That's when the doubt became certainty. I realized I couldn't chase explanations while living in ambiguity, so I walked away. I took a trip myself, somewhere quiet, a rental cabin with no reception. Long walks, deep breaths, images of what I'd believed rushing out like steam. I used the break to plan, not for revenge but for truth. I contacted a private clinic under the guise of concerned husband, just to arrange a discreet appointment. A simple confirmation, no friction. 2 days later, I had what I needed, a negative result. No pregnancy. That hit me like a punch. Not because I cared about the result itself, not because a lie hurts worse than truth, but because someone I loved so much would willingly step into that lie. I thought of our laughter, our shared breakfast conversations, the trust I'd never expected to question. I crawled back home with proof, enveloped in quiet heartbreak. I didn't march into the house like a storm. I didn't scream. I poured 2 glasses of water, sat across from her. "I got tested today," I said softly. One paper between us, the clinic report. She looked, fumbled, tear-threatened. "I know it's not your body," I continued, "and this isn't about blame. But I need something real to understand what happened." That's when she started, not with excuses, not with anger, but with honesty. A confession worked out inside her. Guilt, sadness, Fear. Not of being caught, but of losing us. I stayed quiet until she finished. When she looked up, I held her gaze and said, "We need time. Separate time. Until we know who we are without this lie." She nodded, silent. That night, I didn't turn away angrily. I didn't throw anything. I just turned my back and walked out of the room. The day after I handed Sarah proof, I barely slept. My mind replayed everything from that moment, the look in her eyes, the silence that followed, the weight of both of us needing space. When morning came, I had to figure out how to live in this new world, one that didn't include the lie we'd been stuck inside. I didn't leave marks or broken things behind, no yelling, no dishes thrown. I sat on the edge of the bed, wading through the silence like water, waiting for clarity. That clarity finally arrived in the form of a breath, a decision. I booked a short getaway, just me, Max, and a quiet lakeside cabin with no cell signal. There, I let my thoughts surface without interference. No messages from her, no calls from friends asking, "Are you okay?" Just nature and slow realizations. I was not heartbroken. I was relieved. Not because I didn't care, but because the truth, even juxtaposed with pain, set me free. When I returned home, I didn't rush things. I went through my day, grocery store, latte at the corner cafe, vacuuming carpets that smelled like normal life again. That's when Sarah texted, praying we could talk. I paused, but I said yes. We met, for the first time in days, at the same cafe that smelled faintly of stale muffins and familiar routines. She was quieter now. No dramatic entrance, just a woman who knew she'd pushed too far. "I know I messed up," she said softly. I waited while she let the words sink in. "I was scared," she continued, "of becoming invisible, of losing myself in the day-to-day. I rationalized everything. 2 lines and some hope felt safer than getting stuck in emptiness." I didn't interrupt. I didn't push. I just held space. She exhaled. "I lied about being pregnant because I didn't know how to reach you anymore. And when you asked for proof, I panicked." I nodded. Silence again. Not awkward, just necessary. "I'm not asking to fix this," she said. "I just can't keep pretending we'll pick up where we left off." I felt something shift, a resignation, but also acceptance. "I know," I told her. "I won't lie, but I also can't go back without truth." She nodded, tears threatening again. "I understand. We parted without promises, not a breakup, not a reconciliation, just a mutual understanding that whatever came next would need to be authentic." The days that followed were quiet. No dramatic calls, no social media declarations, just withdrawal and steady reconstruction. I filled my mornings with things that felt like solid ground. At work, I invested in a long-stalled project. Designing a shipping route optimization I'd put off for months, it sparked pride, connection, purpose. That night I went for a jog, something I had dropped in the grind of the fallout. I rediscovered the smell of fresh air hitting my lungs. I found joy in simplicity, Max straining at the leash when squirrels bolted. An old book I'd abandoned, dusted off and devoured by midnight. Friends called. I answered, cautiously open. "Want to hang?" They didn't ask about Sarah. I didn't volunteer updates. I let that energy guide me. 3 weeks later, Sarah texted again. A simple ask. "Can we sit down one more time?" I agreed, but this time I needed parameters. Honest conversation, no games. We met at a sunny local park, open benches, families walking around, kids playing soccer. At a safe distance. No pressure, just space. She came opening up, not with excuses, but with honesty. I thought I wanted excitement, pampering, a reminder that I mattered. I didn't respond immediately. She shifted, then tapped the bench between us. "I'm sorry I destroyed that." That stunned me, not because it was unexpected, but because it was real. I exhaled. "I don't know if there's going back." She nodded slowly. "But maybe. We can start over, as different people, with honesty." I thought of our years together, the way she moved over the couch late at night when my breathing changed, the color of her laugh in daylight. I also thought of the lie, the perversion of something sacred, and how, without proof, I might have crumbled. "I'm open to starting over," I said finally. Her relief was a quiet thing. She didn't hug me. She didn't cry. Just nodded. Slow, silent tears. We spoke then. Not about pregnancy, not about blame, but about small things again. Can we keep talking? Yes. No secrets? Ever. We parted that afternoon, not with fireworks, but with a soft promise. This time, truth over illusion. Over the next few weeks, we were in tentative rebuilding mode. I reinstalled our shared calendar, not for hidden trips, but for doctor's appointments, dinner plans, chore schedules. We started counseling, not pro forma, but intentionally. We learned each other's rhythms again. The PB&J sandwich I sometimes made at 3 a.m. when I couldn't sleep. The way she hums when she's anxious. I didn't expect gratitude, just honesty. Weeks into this new chapter, the truth became normal again. My phone buzzed one evening. It was Sarah, late. "I'm sorry I didn't trust you when you first said, 'I love you.' It meant more than I realized." I typed back slowly. "Thank you. I'm trying to mean it better." That was enough. The lie was gone, but what replaced it wasn't just reconciliation, it was rebuilding trust, harder than forgiveness. I didn't get all the pages of our old story back, but I did believe in the next ones. This is the final part, continuing the story with deep emotional payoff, maturity, and a powerful yet clean conclusion. It stays within YouTube's monetization-friendly guidelines. No graphic, violent, or explicit content, just compelling storytelling built around betrayal, growth, and choice. 6 months had passed since that day in the park, since I agreed, carefully, cautiously, to rebuild something that once felt beyond repair. Sarah and I didn't rush. We knew better now. Rebuilding trust wasn't a weekend project, it was quiet, invisible work. The kind of work that happens in the details. A door left open, a phone placed face up on the table, a sigh that didn't hide anything. Counseling helped. Not because a therapist gave us magical advice, but because someone was willing to sit between us and say, "It's okay to feel this. It's okay not to know." Sometimes our sessions were raw. Sarah would confess to moments when she still questioned if she deserved another chance, and I would admit that some nights I still woke up expecting another lie. We weren't fixed. We were rebuilding. The baby lie, the one that shattered our foundation, still lingered in the background like smoke after a fire. It wasn't discussed every day, but when it came up, we treated it honestly. "I thought I'd never be enough again," she once whispered in therapy. "I thought I'd never trust anyone again," I answered. But we were both still there. One evening, about 7 months in, Sarah came home with something small, a new keychain, a little wooden dog, carved like Max. She handed it to me like it meant nothing. But it meant something. It meant she was noticing me again. Not just reacting to what went wrong, but choosing to invest in the present. Later that night, I saw her phone buzz on the table. She didn't flinch. Small wins. Still, I had my doubts. Of course I did. One day I went to grab dinner while she worked late. On the drive back, I thought, what if she's not there? That thought didn't come from nowhere. It came from history. But when I pulled up and saw her car in the driveway, porch light on, Max curled up in the window, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Home. Still, I needed closure, not just peace in my heart, but a full circle moment where I could say, I got back my dignity. I got back control. So I wrote a letter. Not to Sarah, to myself. The version of me who once danced in the living room when she said she was pregnant. The version of me who second-guessed everything. Who ran, who fought silently, who quietly got proof when shouting would have been easier. In the letter I wrote, you didn't collapse. You stayed quiet and calculated. And you didn't just leave. You rose. Then I folded the letter and burned it. Let the ash go. Not because I was trying to erase what happened, but because I no longer needed to carry it. Fast forward to the following month. It was a normal Tuesday. Cold. The kind of weather that makes you late for everything. Sarah and I were prepping for dinner. She chopped onions. I stirred pasta. Max snored on the rug. And in the middle of that moment, she looked at me and asked something she hadn't asked in a long time. Do you think we're okay? I put down the spoon. Thought for a second. Then said, we're better than before. Not because nothing broke, but because now we both know what it costs to lie. She smiled, small, sad, but grateful. I'm glad you didn't give up on me. I almost did, I said, honest. But I couldn't walk away without knowing if there was something worth saving. And it turned out there was. Still, let me be clear. Forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's not pretending something never happened. It's knowing exactly what did, and choosing to move forward anyway. We never had a baby after that. It wasn't about biology. It was about readiness. And truthfully, I wasn't ready. But our marriage changed. Not back to what it was, into something entirely new. We didn't romanticize the past. We didn't try to go back. We built something else. A partnership where honesty became the foundation, not just an expectation. One night, Sarah showed me her journal. She had written in it every day since the fake pregnancy. One page read, "He deserved the truth." And I gave him a lie. Every step since has been me earning back what I broke. I didn't say anything. I just closed the journal, kissed her forehead, and turned out the light. Peace doesn't always come with a grand moment. Sometimes it just shows up in the quiet, when you realize you're not waiting for the next betrayal. You're simply living. So what happened next? Life. Real life. Messy, unpredictable, but honest. We traveled, not to escape, but to rediscover each other. I took her to a cabin like the one I went to alone, except this time we went together. We walked trails where leaves fell like forgiveness. We laughed again, really laughed. One morning she whispered, "You were right. I had to lose myself before I could come back." I just nodded. That's the thing about revenge. People think it has to be cruel, dramatic, explosive. But the real revenge? It's rebuilding better. It's choosing truth when someone else thought lies could control you. It's being calm, collected, and walking away not with broken hearts, but your head held high. So yes, my wife lied. She said she was pregnant. She used a hope I once cherished as a tool for deception. But I didn't fight with fists or rage. I fought with silence, with thought, with proof. And when the moment came, I didn't destroy her. I handed her the truth and let it do the work. Because sometimes the cleanest revenge is this, not needing to scream, just walking in, holding the facts, and walking away whole.